Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The war had transformed the vibrant landscapes of Varathos into barren wastelands, marred by the scars of battle and the relentless pursuit of dominance. The air crackled with energy, laden with the acrid scent of smoke and the distant echoes of war cries. Among the chaos, Caden, a rugged, battle-hardened human soldier, fought through the remnants of his own disillusionment. His squad had lost countless lives, a cascade of the fallen echoing in his memories, each face a reminder of his failure to protect them. The weight of their loss bore heavily on his shoulders as he trudged through the remnants of the alien city, each step echoing the futility of their mission. But today was different. Today he was on a rescue mission, a flicker of hope in a sea of despair. "Caden, over here!" A voice barked, breaking his trance. Lifting his weapon, he hastily turned to find Rael, his trusted comrade, beckoning him toward the remnants of an old temple that had once stood tall, now reduced to rubble. As he approached, his heart raced, not from the adrenaline of battle, but from an uncertainty he could not shake. They had received intel about a captive alien still hiding in the ruins, but there was so little time to dissect the rumors. "Fan out and secure the perimeter," Caden commanded, his voice steady, burying the doubt lurking in his mind. The squad members split off to cover their surroundings, but Caden lingered, staring at the shattered remains. In the heart of the rubble, he spotted a figure. A flash of iridescent skin caught his eye, and he stumbled forward, his pulse quickening. As he drew closer, he could see her, Zyra. She was an alien, her features ethereal with delicate, elongated limbs and bright, luminescent eyes that shimmered in the dim light. The collar around her neck glinted ominously, and it reminded him of victors and victims, ownership and bondage. "Zyra," he whispered, his voice a breath of wonder and hesitation. Eyes wide with an indescribable blend of fear and curiosity, she turned to him, her distress cut into something deep within him, igniting a protectiveness he couldn't comprehend. Caden's heart raced. Was this the same effortless beauty that had haunted his dreams? This felt wrong. She should not be caged like this. Realizing she was trapped, Caden reached for her collar, the metal cool and unyielding beneath his fingers. "I won't let them keep you like this," he muttered, driven by an impulse to free her, an instinct honed by years of combat to protect those who could not protect themselves. As the collar slipped from its holding, a spark arced between their gazes. The moment held a gravity that felt utterly profound. He thought he saw gratitude bloom in her expression, but confusion clouded her eyes. A beat passed, thick with uncertainty. "Wait, you don't understand," she exclaimed, her voice melodious, yet laced with urgency. He barely deciphered the words, the barrier of language gnawing at the air between them. In her culture, the collar symbolized a bond, a mark of respect and choice within her people, not restraint or ownership. But the weight of war and desperation had guided Caden to act on instinct, a response bred from human fears of subjugation and loss. "Whatever this means, I'll keep you safe," he insisted, his voice gruff but sincere. He stepped back, ready to protect her from a world that could shatter her. "Your aim is misguided," she murmured, her expression flickering with concern as she studied him. Despite the panic surrounding them, Caden couldn't shake the magnetic pull she held over him. There was something more significant erupting in this interaction, even as dangers loomed on the horizon. Before they could exchange another word, the screeching sirens echoed through the ruins. The sound made Caden's blood run cold. The alien enforcers were close, and the time to escape was dwindling. "Come on." Lifting her hand, he pulled her forward with urgency, leading her out from the wreckage. The ground trembled beneath them as they fled toward the shadows of the unscathed parts of the city. As they dashed through the broken streets, Caden struggled to process the gravity of what he had done. The war had numbed him, turned him into a tool of survival. And yet here he was, fighting for someone he barely knew, guided by a gut feeling. 10 feet ahead, Zyra's graceful movements contrasted sharply with his lumbering form. Her agility and strength showed persistence, but he noticed the vulnerable flicker of doubt in her stance. Could it be that she had her own burdens to carry? As the adrenaline surged, Caden couldn't shake the feeling that freeing her would lead to more than an escape. It would unleash a storm he could never anticipate. "Turn left," she shot, pulling him away from an incoming patrol of alien soldiers. They spiraled through the corners and alleys, desperate to find a means of escape. Heart pounding, Caden knew they would have to reach the outer fringes of the city, where human rebels awaited. Together, they ducked into a narrow alley brimming with shadows. Caden pressed his back against the cool metal wall, and Zyra followed suit, her body uncomfortably close. "What now? We can't stay here," he said, breathless. "I know of a place, a sanctuary, but you must trust me," she insisted, looking into his eyes. That connection sparked between them again, something disarming yet electric. "Trust is earned, not given. You don't know me." His voice was gruff, layered with weariness that he couldn't hide. "Yet you chose to save me," she pointed out, her expression softening. There was an underlying strength that made Caden reconsider the boundaries he had drawn. Perhaps this war had more complexities than he dared to acknowledge. "All right, lead the way," he conceded, hesitantly recognizing that beneath the chaos, the real battle was beginning. Together, they would forge ahead into the unknown, a soldier burdened by his past and a mysterious alien weaving through the tapestry of resilience, ready to challenge everything Caden thought he knew about freedom, companionship, and love. With every hurried step, the tension between Caden and Zyra pulsated like an electric current in the air. The narrow alleyway led them deeper into what felt like a labyrinth of shadows, each turn fraught with uncertainty. Though his instincts screamed to be cautious, the weight of their situation pressed against him, urging him to trust her guidance. "Just a little further," Zyra whispered, her luminescent eyes shining brightly against the darkness. The guiding light within them seemed to call Caden, lighting a fire of determination within him. They emerged from the alley, stepping onto a wide avenue lined with towering structures, remnants of a civilization that realized its mistakes too late. Caden scanned the area, alert for any sign of pursuit. The eerie calm was out of place amid the steady beat of adrenaline coursing through his veins. "But what now, Zyra?" Caden murmured, trying to keep his voice low, the looming threat never far from his thoughts. "There's a safe house northeast. It's hidden among the ruins. We can wait there until the patrols pass," she answered, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "You don't know me. You can't be sure I won't lead us into a trap," Caden retorted, his protective instincts clashing with the delicate trust forming between them. Zyra met his gaze, unwavering. "You saved me from that collar, Caden. Unless you've entirely misjudged who I am, I do not believe you would lead me into danger intentionally." His chest tightened at her words. The collar, what had once seemed like an emblem of captivity, had transformed into a symbol of their growing connection. It was a flimsy bond, yet a bond nonetheless. "All right then, let's get moving." As they scurried across the plaza, Caden stole glances at Zyra. The fluidity of her movements fascinated him. She navigated the war-torn terrain as if it was as familiar to her as the back of her hand. In contrast, he felt like a clunky machine trying to find its rhythm amid the elegant dance of an alien world. Every step brought with it a new swirl of emotions. Who is she really? The lingering doubts tugged at him, but the connection, a raw, unrefined spark, encouraged him to lean into this unfolding partnership. "They'll have seen us by now," Zyra muttered, her eyes darting to the shadows, her senses heightened, radiating strength amidst anxiety. The realization that they were fugitives fueled Caden's resolve. "Just know, if we're cornered, I'm not leaving you behind," he said quietly, determination thick in his voice. Zyra turned to him, surprise flickering across her features. "You don't truly know what that means, do you? This fight is bigger than both of us. It's not just about running." "I know, but you deserve freedom and safety, even if I'm just a passing soldier in the grand scheme of this, whatever this is." Caden interrupted, sentiment flowing through the tension. His heart raced at the thought of abandoning her. The possibility made him sick to his stomach. "Then let's be free together," Zyra said, her voice a soothing balm against the chaos swirling around them. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. This was not merely a fight for survival, but a chance to connect across their disparate worlds. Caden felt the walls he had built around his heart beginning to crack, and for the first time in a long time, he allowed himself to hope. The moment was abruptly shattered by a distant roar. Through the haze of their connection, the fracture of reality returned with a crushing urgency. They were still in danger. "Let's move," Caden urged, grabbing her hand. He pulled her into the safety of one of the buildings that still partially stood. The dilapidated structure provided transient shelter, its walls adorned with remnants of alien culture, intricate patterns woven into the very stone. Once inside, they pressed against the wall, panting heavily, their breaths mingling in the hushed air. Caden's heart hammered in his chest, each beat synchronizing with the adrenaline coursing through him, palpable and intoxicating. Zyra turned to him, her expression resolute. "Do you feel it? There is something different about us," she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean?" Caden asked, still breathing heavily but focused on her. "This connection. Isen sayo, kaden. You are not like the others," she said, taking a small step closer, her eyes searching his. "You believe in more than just survival. You fight for something greater." As Caden met her gaze, he felt the weight of her words settle in. It wasn't just about him anymore. Their fates were entwined, interlinked by something profound. "I've seen enough brutality to know there's more to life than just fighting. But I can't pretend to understand your world," he confessed. "Yet here we are, standing together, and the only certainty is that I won't let you down." Before Zyra could respond, the sound of heavy boots echoed outside, growing nearer. Instinctively, Caden pressed her back against the wall, shielding her with his body. The instinct to protect her was so primal, so all-consuming, that he hardly registered the fear spiraling within him. "You must remain silent," Zyra whispered, her breath brushing against his cheek, igniting a fire deep within him. They crouched in the shadows as several imposing alien soldiers passed, their voices low and menacing. Caden's heart raced, each word palpable with tension, but Zyra remained still beside him, her calm energy infusing his resolve. This was no longer just about escape. It was about forging a bond that would withstand whatever lay ahead. As the footsteps faded, Caden and Zyra exchanged glances, a silent promise made between them. The battle may have been far from over, but together, they would face whatever came next. Their connection was more than just an escape. It was a chance for both of them to find freedom, understanding, and perhaps something even deeper. The stagnant air in the makeshift hideout hung heavy with anticipation as Caden and Zyra waited, every sound outside pulling their attention. The moments dragged on, suspended in a breath of uncertainty. Caden felt the unshakable urge to protect Zyra flood his senses, yet the silence held an unfamiliar peace that coaxed away his tension. "I never thought I would be here, hiding with a human warrior," Zyra whispered, amusement dancing behind her eyes despite the danger that lurked outside. "Yeah, well, we don't get a lot of downtime on the front lines," Caden replied, a small smirk tugging at his lips. Surrounded by rubble and chaos, the lightness of her presence began to seep into him, reminding him that, despite their grim situation, they were alive. She tilted her head, a quizzical expression crossing her face. "You fight without knowing us, a people you see only as enemies. Yet here I stand, and you went against your instincts to free me. Why?" "I guess I don't see you as my enemy," Caden admitted, his tone thoughtful. "You feel different. There's something about you, something that tells me not everyone here is my enemy. Maybe it's the collar you wore." He gestured toward the ceremonial piece lying forgotten in the corner, its shine now dulled by the dirt, but still imbued with significance. Zyra's eyes seemed to light up, flickering with a mixture of surprise and understanding. "The collar symbolized connection to my people and culture. It was a mark of identity, not possession. A bond once shared with my family, my home," she explained. "I was chosen for something greater than simply existing. In your world, it may have had a different meaning, a sign of control, but for me, it carried pride." Caden furrowed his brow, absorbing her words. "I had no idea. I thought—" He paused, guilt washing over him at his ignorance. "I thought you were in chains, like so many others. I wanted to help you escape from that." Zyra's expression softened, her luminescent eyes shimmering with a gentleness he hadn't expected. In a way, you did help. You saved me from a false identity, one I hardly knew myself at this point. They exchanged a look, and Caden felt a warmth spreading through his chest. Everything they had fought against, the lack of understanding, the darkness of war, seemed to fade for a moment, leaving only the burgeoning trust between them. With renewed urgency, Zyra stood straighter, her resolve palpable. We must not linger here. If the patrols have passed, we can return to the outskirts. I want to show you my world, Caden, our world. Show me, he replied, curiosity sparking in his eyes. But how do I know it's safe? Nothing is assured in this life, but you must trust me as I trust you, she said, her voice lacing with determination. There's more to my people than just war and suffering. All right, Caden conceded, heart racing. Lead the way, but let's keep it low-key. They crept outside, careful to avoid the main pathways. The city's ruins stood like skeletons against the neon horizon, a stark reminder of both destruction and beauty. Zyra guided him through hidden passages, each step bringing him closer to a world he had only glimpsed through conflict. I know a place, she whispered, gesturing to twisting remnants of metal and stone, leading him to a smaller enclave, one obscured from the patrols. The entrance revealed an expansive garden flourishing amidst the wreckage, a vibrant oasis of plants, colors, and light in a world tainted by darkness. Caden stepped inside, struck by the sweet smell of exotic flowers that filled the air, almost surreal against the backdrop of devastation. This is beautiful, he breathed, overwhelmed by the unexpected beauty of Zyra's world. It is a sanctuary for those who seek peace, Zyra explained, engrossed in his admiration. My people once thrived in harmony with nature, but with the encroaching war, places like this are rare. Here, we remember what it means to coexist, to grow. As they wandered deeper into the garden, Zyra shared tales of her culture, stories of connections, of sacred bonds between her people and the land. Caden listened intently, his heart swelling with admiration and understanding. Each narrative unfolded like a tapestry, and he began to see her world through her eyes. What if this war continues? How can you hope to save this place? Caden asked, his tone somber as the reality of their situation clawed back over him. Zyra paused, her gaze steady and calm. There's hope in many forms, Caden. A unity between humans and my people could change everything. Do you believe we can end this conflict together? Her question hung in the air, drawing Caden's gaze to her eyes. There was an intensity behind her words, a plea mingled with determination. I want to believe, he said slowly, feeling the weight of her gaze. But trust is built, not given. Zyra stepped closer, her presence enveloping him. Then let us build it together, she whispered, and for a moment the world around them faded into insignificance. The connection that sparkled in the air became palpable. Caden could almost feel it humming between their bodies. He saw a flicker of vulnerability in her stance. Was it possible that she, too, felt the weight of fear and hope? But their moment was shattered by the harsh crack of combat boots thudding against the earth just beyond the garden's edge. Quick, we need to hide, Caden exclaimed, his instincts kicking in. Grabbing Zyra's hand, he led her deeper into the foliage, pressing back against the cool stone of a nearby wall, heart racing again in a different kind of fear. As they crouched together, their breaths mingling as they attempted to remain silent, Caden could feel Zyra's heartbeat echoing in her chest, matching the tempo of his own. In those fleeting seconds, everything else melted away, the danger outside fading into an unyielding determination to forge ahead. Stay close, he murmured, a protective instinct surging through him. If they made it through this, they would confront the chaos waiting ahead together. As they crouched among the foliage, Caden could feel the vibrations of the world outside, the heavy footfalls of the alien soldiers becoming an ominous reminder that danger was ever present. Time seemed to stretch as they listened to the muffled voices drawing nearer, each word sparking anxiety within him and igniting the need to protect Zyra at all costs. What do they want? He whispered, straining to discern their conversation. Zyra tilted her head, a frown etching her delicate features. They are searching for me. I must be labeled a traitor for leaving the gathering unchained. They believe I was taken. Then we need to move, Caden insisted, glancing around the garden. If they find you here. They have more than enough proof that I left willingly, Caden. They won't stop until they subdue me, either by force or by extraction. Her gaze was fierce, but beneath the surface lay a current of fear. The soldiers' voices faded as they moved on. Caden let out a shaky breath, the air filled with tension and unspoken emotions. He turned to Zyra, urgency blending with compassion. If you are innocent, why would they believe you had a choice? This collar. It symbolizes choice, yes, but it also signifies a bond, an allegiance to my culture. I was not in chains. I was a servant of my people, chosen to connect with humans on behalf of our alliance, Zyra explained, her voice lowering as she instinctively stepped closer to him, the fear palpable in her posture. Caden's brow furrowed. But it doesn't make sense. Why would they want to punish you for leaving? Fear. Fear of the unknown and the possibility that I would align with the enemy, she said, tracing the intricate patterns of her collar, her fingers trembling. Danger lurks when knowledge is shared, and I was chosen to bridge that gap, an ambassador who had abandoned her duty. You can't see yourself like that, Caden replied, a surge of anger roiling within him. You deserve to be seen as an individual, not a pawn. That's the paradox of war, Zyra said, her voice softening. Both sides are blinded by the desire to survive, yet in their quest for superiority, they forget the importance of unity. The fear of losing what we hold dear is stronger than our desire to understand one another. Caden absorbed her words, their significance sinking in. Her struggle to maintain autonomy in the face of overwhelming socio-political pressures resonated deeply within him. It mirrored his own fight against a war that had defined his existence. So, what can we do? How can we change this? We must reach my people before they capture me, she said, her pulse quickening with purpose. I must show them that collaboration is better than conflict. If we work together, perhaps they can see the hope of peace. Caden's heart swelled with admiration for her bravery, but uncertainty shadowed his thoughts. And what if they won't listen? What if they refuse your message? There's a chance they might not, but there's also a chance they will. The choice to stand beside me is ultimately yours, Caden. We must take that risk. Zyra's gaze held a mixture of determination and vulnerability, igniting a fire within him. Then we'll reach them together, he promised, unexpected resolve hardening his voice. He felt the weight of responsibility wash over him, the fear of the unknown battling with the desire to protect her. Zyra's lips curled into a soft smile, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. Thank you. Your strength means more than you realize. If we are to connect our worlds, we must trust each other. As they crept through the garden entrance, Caden couldn't help but feel a shift within himself. The adrenaline unveiling notions well beyond the battlefield. There was a challenge laid out before them that stirred something deep within, a yearning to forge something lasting, something beautiful amidst the chaos. Exiting the sanctuary behind the cover of plants, Caden felt the oppressive weight of the world outside. The alleyways loomed as daunting corridors trapping their fate. Yet beside him, Zyra stood resolute, unwavering against the encroaching storm. Stay close, Caden murmured, weaving through the empty streets. The shadows cast by the skeletal remains of the city seemed to threaten them, yet he found solace in Zyra's whispered encouragement. Should we split up? It might be safer, she suggested, her brow furrowing with concern. No, Caden shook his head. I can't risk losing you, not now. Together, we have a better chance against what's to come. Their shared resolve propelled them forward, against all odds. They dodged through abandoned structures, memories of a world before conflict entangled in the roots of their shared journey. Caden could feel Zyra's presence next to him, a beacon of light amid the disarray. Finally, as they reached a fork in the path leading toward the outskirts of the city, he turned to her. We have to hurry. The longer we stay in the open, the greater the risk. Zyra nodded, determination etching her features as she prepared to move forward. Caden, she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Whatever happens, remember, we're in this together. Tentative yet fueled by the promise of alliance, they stepped past the threshold of the known into the uncertain chaos that awaited them. United by purpose, their hearts beat in tandem with an unwavering rhythm, both knowing that the journey ahead would forge them into something greater than they had ever imagined. The pale light of dawn began to break through the remnants of the once great city as Caden and Zyra navigated the dilapidated streets. Each quiet step was a testament to their determination, a resolute promise to grow stronger together amidst the chaos surrounding them. "Where to now?" Caden whispered, scanning the horizon for signs of danger. "There's a rebel camp not far from here," Zyra replied, her eyes glimmering with hope. "If they believe in my cause, they will help us reach my people. It is our best chance." Caden nodded, his heart racing, not just from the peril of their situation, but also from the anticipation of meeting the people who shared Zyra's vision for unity. "Lead the way." As they pushed deeper into the ruined city, they passed crumbling structures adorned with alien script and symbols that were once integral to Zyra's culture. Each corner they turned revealed more of the vibrant life that had existed, a world he had only begun to scratch the surface of. "What's your world like, Zyra?" Caden asked as they moved through the remnants of a bustling marketplace, now long abandoned. Before the war, Zyra's expression brightened, the memories flowing back like a tide. It was full of colors and music, with festivals that lasted for days. We would gather in the fields to celebrate the harvest, singing songs that honored our connection to each other and the land. There was laughter, love, and joy in abundance. People lived in harmony. It was a beautiful sight. Caden felt a pang of longing in his chest, a contrast to the drab reality of war he had known. "It sounds amazing. I've never known a life like that. Most things in my world feel cold and mechanized, consumed by conflict." "We can change that together," Zyra said, her voice steady, grounding him. "If we can reach my people, we could bridge the divide, show them that there is so much more to this universe than fighting." As they arrived at a broken wall, Zyra paused, her gaze sharpening as a flicker of movement caught her eye. "This is it. The rebel camp should be just beyond this barrier." After looking over his shoulder for signs of pursuit, Caden took a deep breath. "How do we get in?" "There will be sentinels, but they are expecting support to arrive from my alliance. I have been accepted among them as a voice of hope." "All right then, we'll use that to our advantage," he said, confidence growing. Zyra took a deep breath, approaching the lashed-together entrance, and Caden followed closely. They stepped into a dimly lit area teeming with tension and noise. Earthy scents mingled with the metallic tang of tension in the air. A raucous crowd bustled about, exchanging information and convening strategies in desperate whispers. "What do we do now?" Caden asked, suddenly feeling overawed by the energy swirling around them. "Stay close and watch my lead," Zyra replied, taking charge. She approached a small gathering where a tall alien, a leader clad in a mantle of richly colored fabric, stood imposing as the others encircled him. As Zyra approached, the crowd grew hushed. "Rain, I require your attention," she called, her voice ringing with authority. Caden was struck by how the atmosphere shifted as they turned to gaze at Zyra. There was something undeniably magnetic about her presence. "Zyra," Rain exclaimed, stepping forward with interest. "You've returned, but what brings you back to our midst?" His eyes shifted to Caden. "And who is this?" "This is Caden, a human who saved me from captivity," Zyra said, pride and trust weaving through her words. "I believe with his help, we can turn this tide." Rain studied Caden with a discerning gaze. "And you seek to aid us?" "I will do whatever it takes to protect Zyra and bridge the gap between our worlds," Caden said, determination lacing his tone. "There is potential for change if we work together." The air hung heavy with anticipation. Whispers began to circulate through the cluster of rebels, but one voice rang out among the murmurs. "The humans destroyed our cities. Why should we trust him?" "Because I've seen what destruction begets," Caden responded, his heart pounding in his ears, fighting to maintain his composure. "I understand the cost of war, and I want nothing but peace for you and my people." Peace. You ask us to trust a human. Another rebel spat, eyes ablaze with anger. You are our enemy. Yet I am standing here, willing to fight for you and your cause. Caden shot back, his heart racing. You don't have to see us as enemies. Together, we can show our peoples that we are stronger united. Rain held up his hand, silencing the dissenters. Zyra believes in him, he said, turning to her. You trust him. With my life, she affirmed, meeting Rain's gaze with unwavering conviction. Quiet enveloped the crowd, and Caden held onto Zyra's strength, drawing confidence from her trust. Make me part of this rebellion, and together we can build a chance, a fresh start. I've risked everything to stand by her side, and I'm willing to fight for you too. After a tense silence, Rain looked thoughtful, then stepped back, raising his arm with authority. Then let it be known that Caden is a friend to our cause. We cannot bypass the chance to unite against tyranny. The collective energy shifted with the revelation, murmurs of approval rippling through the crowd. A sense of camaraderie began to form around Caden, an unexpected warmth amidst the gathering of strangers. Zyra leaned closer to him, her voice a soothing whisper. You've shown them compassion when they expected hostility. You're becoming part of something greater. But Caden felt the weight of the challenge ahead, the unparalleled barriers to overcome and trust to build. I'll fight for you, he promised, his heart aching with the newfound resolve pulsating within him. In unity, we will forge a future beyond war, Zyra added, her voice carrying hope like a lamp amidst darkness. With determination igniting their spirits, they stood before the rebels, ready to face the looming war together. A battle not just to survive, but to cultivate a world where understanding and hope could thrive. The rebel camp buzzed with a frenetic energy, fueled by the urgency of their circumstances. Caden stood alongside Zyra, their hands intertwined, a silent promise uniting them. In front of them, Rain and the other leaders strategized under the dim light of their makeshift shelter, a map spread out before them adorned with notations and markings. This is our chance, Rain declared, his voice firm but filled with the weight of responsibility. We gather our forces tonight. We strike at dawn. Caden felt the energy pulse through the crowd, the shared anticipation, the determination etched in their faces. He had experienced battle before, but this was different. It was charged with hope and the collective desire to reclaim their worlds. Zyra turned to Caden, her expression a blend of fear and resolve. Are you ready for this? More than ready, he replied, squeezing her hand tighter. For the first time, I feel like we have a chance. As night fell, the camp buzzed with activity. Rebels gathered in small clusters, forming alliances and renewing a commitment to stand together against the impending threat. Caden felt exhilarated, a sense of belonging he had never expected. As dawn approached, Caden and Zyra stood at the forefront of the rebellion, their hearts aligned in purpose, battling the shadows looming over their newly forged connection. Follow my lead, Rain instructed the gathered rebels. We'll break through the enemy line and advance toward the capital. The adrenaline surged as they received weapons, their spirits intertwined by mutual resolve. Caden clasped Zyra's shoulder and smiled reassuringly. Let's show them what unity can achieve. With the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon, the rebels moved, silent shadows creeping through the underbrush. Caden led the charge alongside Zyra, their bond solidified in unspoken trust. A fierce determination surged within him to protect not just Zyra, but to fight for a future free of oppression. As they neared the enemy encampment, Caden's heart raced. The tension was palpable in the air. Every instinct he honed in battle surged to the forefront as the enemy's camp came into view, monstrous structures silhouetted against the rising sun, cold and unyielding. Steady, Rain called out, signaling the rebels as they took positions around the perimeter. Caden glanced at Zyra, her expression resolute yet aglow with conviction. We can do this, she whispered, and he nodded, feeling the weight of their challenge settle in. The first shots echoed in the morning light, a deafening roar as lasers fired across the battlefield, followed by the sharp sounds of conflict erupting. Caden surged forward, his adrenaline whipping him into a frenzy. Beside him, Zyra moved with purpose, her alien agility a powerful contrast to his grounded physique. "Cover me!" Caden yelled as they sprinted toward the enemy barricades, bullets whizzing past them like deadly whispers. Zyra nodded, unleashing her own weaponry with precise, calculated movements as she spotted a group advancing on them. Together, they fought for their lives, their hearts synchronized in the chaos. In the mayhem, Caden realized that their connection was his strength. He had never fought for something so profound, a shared goal that transcended their identities. It was exhilarating and terrifying, the thrill of fighting for a hope bigger than themselves. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath him, a detonating blast tearing the air apart. Caden stumbled, regaining his footing just in time to see Zyra leap forward, her fierce expression igniting a fire within him. "Zyra!" he shouted, fear creeping into his voice as he chased her, dodging incoming fire. She turned, striking with fierce determination as the rebel forces surged toward their enemies. "Keep moving!" Zyra hollered, her voice a beacon guiding him through the chaos. They pushed deeper into the fray, adrenaline pushing them to their limits. Caden felt their connection grow stronger with every passing moment, fueled by the urgency of their mission and their need to protect each other. "It's time." Rain's voice broke through, rallying the remaining rebels. "We take the stronghold." Caden locked eyes with Zyra just as they charged toward the stronghold's entrance, a grove of rebels flanking them. They tackled the barricade head-on, blasting through with focused intensity, unwavering in their resolve. Together, Caden bellowed, lifting his weapon as he followed Zyra, breaking through the resistance unyielding before them. They bounded forward, reckless and filled with tenacity, right into the heart of the enemy encampment. But as they broke through the final line, a figure emerged from the shadows, a familiar face standing amidst the chaos. "Zyra!" The voice struck Caden like a bolt of lightning. "Father!" Zyra gasped, astonishment flooding her features. The imposing figure of Zyra's father stood before them, marked by sorrow but fierce with pride. "Why have you allied with the enemy?" he demanded, voice laced with urgency and concern. "They are not our enemy. Humans and my people can work together to build a new world." Zyra pleaded, stepping forward. "Please listen to me. Enough of this nonsense. They have come to destroy us," her father yelled, raising his weapon toward Caden. Caden felt his blood run cold as the moment stretched painfully. "Listen," he said urgently, stepping in front of Zyra. "I've seen what conflict does. I fight for her, and for a future where we can coexist." "Coexist?" her father spat. "You are a fool. You don't understand what they have taken from us. And you don't understand what unity can achieve." Zyra cried, desperation clawing at her voice. "We must choose a different path. We can't let ourselves be driven by hatred forever." "You choose this human over your own blood?" her father flared, voice trembling with anger and disbelief. "Yes, I choose love," Zyra shouted, pushing past Caden, her determination blinding. "I choose life over a legacy of death." In that moment, Caden felt the full weight of her words. The battle raged around them, flaring with every shot and explosion, but it was her courage that pierced through the chaos, a galvanizing force he could not ignore. "Will you let us show you the possibility of unity?" Caden asked, his voice steady and filled with conviction. The tension in the air was suffocating, but as Zyra's father hesitated, uncertain, a flicker of doubt crossed his features. "Let us show you," Caden implored, "what liberation looks like when we fight together." In that charged moment, the world seemed to hold its breath, and as their fates intertwined, Caden and Zyra extended a hand toward the future they believed could exist, unyielding against the darkness that sought to consume them. As Caden looked back at Zyra, a shared understanding gleamed in her eyes. He had chosen her, and they had chosen each other, against all odds. "Yes," her father finally said, lowering his weapon, "but the path will not be easy, nor without sacrifice." "Then let's walk it together," Zyra stated, fiercely uncompromising. With that word, a ripple of understanding cascaded through the battlefield, the forces on both sides slowly beginning to falter. Caden felt hope bloom in the ashes of war, the promise of something new igniting amid the devastation. with alliances rekindled, futures rewritten, and hearts thrumming in synchrony. Caden and Zyra took the first steps toward a future where love and unity could flourish amidst chaos, a testament to the strength of choice, resilience, and the undeniable power of connection. The aftermath of the battle settled like a heavy fog over Verithos, but change was in the air. Caden stood alongside Zyra as they surveyed the remnants of destruction. The resilient spirit of the rebel forces mixed with those of the former enemy, forging a fragile alliance in the wake of chaos. With Rain and Zyra's father spearheading discussions, they began to lay the foundations of a new society, one where communication flourished and trust was born anew. With each passing day, the union of their peoples became evident, hearts reignited by the promise of hope, not conflict. Caden found himself falling more deeply for Zyra, the light within the dark. Together, they witnessed their worlds intertwining, shaping a narrative that made room for both cultures to shine. As they visited schools, he taught humans about Zyra's world, sharing the tales of joy and connection she cherished so dearly. In turn, Zyra illuminated her people about the strength humans drew from their experiences, the sacrifices made for love, loyalty, and freedom. Imagine what we can create together, Caden mused one evening, lost in thought as they strolled through a garden blooming with vibrant life. The sanctuary they had once stumbled upon had transformed into a gathering place for all, a symbol of hope uniting both sides. Zyra rested her head against his shoulder, her presence warm and grounding. "This is just the beginning," she replied softly. "With each step we take, we pave the way to a future we never thought possible." As days turned into weeks, the world began to heal. The stories of their battles birthed new legends, ones that spoke of acceptance, unity, and growth. Caden and Zyra stood as symbols of possibility, navigators guiding their worlds through the murky waters of mistrust and misunderstanding. One day, as they stood overlooking the horizon, the sun setting in a sea of fiery oranges and reds, Caden turned to Zyra and cupped her face gently in his hands. "We've come far, Zyra, but I know we can go even further. Together." "I believe in us, Caden," she whispered, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of passion and determination. "And I promise to stand by your side as we forge a new legacy." In that moment, surrounded by the fruits of their labor and the bonds they had cultivated, Caden understood the profound truth that rang through every fiber of his being. Love and understanding could dismantle even the fiercest divides. As they embraced against the backdrop of a world reborn, their hearts beat in unison, a rhythm resonating through the now-connected realms of human and alien, bound not only by love, but by the promise of a shared future, woven together in hope